Welcome to our deep dive. We'll be exploring the Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz.
Oh, a fascinating choice.
It really is a practical guide to personal freedom, and it's rooted in ancient Toltec wisdom.
Now, when people hear Toltec, they might think of some lost civilization,
Right.
but it wasn't like that.
Not at all. Imagine instead scientists and artists dedicated to preserving spiritual knowledge.
Hmm. Like a gathering of seekers.
Exactly, like those who journeyed to the ancient city of Teotihuacan.
Ah, yes.
Yeah,
A place the Toltec believed held powerful energy,
that's right.
where man becomes God.
And that idea of transformation, well, that's at the heart of the Four Agreements.
Definitely.
These agreements, they're not about signing a contract or anything.
Yeah.
They're about internal shifts.
Right.
Ways to rewire your thinking, to experience, more joy.
And less suffering.
Exactly.
Is a powerful concept.
And Ruiz's argument is that really from childhood, we're all kind of domesticated.
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah, into this collective, dream of the planet.
I see. Explain.
So it's like we're handed this script, right,
Okay.
filled with like beliefs and behaviors,
Uh-huh.
and we just kind of accept it without question.
We just go along, yeah.
We just go on.
It's like living in a shared hypnosis almost.
Yeah.
Unaware of how much power these beliefs hold over us.
Yeah.
The Toltec, they call this the metoti.
The metote.
Yeah, it's like a fog,
Okay.
of all these conflicting ideas that kind of obscure our true selves.
Oh, so we're all carrying around this metote, this fog.
To some extent.
Wow. Okay, so think back to your childhood for a second.
Right.
What were some of those, maybe unspoken rules that you picked up?
Unspoken rules.
Yeah, like don't speak unless spoken to,
Oh, I hear that one a lot.
right? Or always put others first.
Yeah, classic.
But looking back,
Yeah.
did these rules did they truly serve you?
Hmm.
Or did they create some limitations that maybe you're still wrestling with today?
It's interesting to think about, isn't it? It's not about blaming anyone, of course,
Right.
but just recognizing how these early programs can have such a huge impact on our lives.
They really do.
That don't speak unless spoken to rule.
Yeah.
That could lead to maybe difficulty setting boundaries later on, or expressing your needs in relationships,
Oh, wow.
because you've been conditioned to silence your inner voice.
That's a really powerful insight. It makes you think about the lasting impact of these, seemingly simple rules.
Absolutely.
But the good news is, if we can identify these beliefs,
Mm-hmm.
we can start to challenge them.
Right, that's key.
And that leads us perfectly to the first agreement.
Oh, okay, tell me.
Be impeccable with your word.
Be impeccable with your word. Okay.
Yeah, and this agreement's all about recognizing the creative power of words.
The power of words.
They really shape our reality,
I can see that.
not just through what we say out loud to other people,
Right.
but also our internal dialogue, our self-talk.
Our inner voice, yeah.
Yeah, and Ruiz isn't just saying, don't gossip or, be polite.
Oh, it's deeper than that.
He's talking about a deeper commitment to using words consciously,
Consciously. Okay.
truthfully, and with an intention of love.
Wow, that's a high bar.
It is. It is. Think about it. Every word you speak, it's like a seed you plant.
Seed.
And if you're constantly criticizing yourself,
Yeah.
you're planting these seeds of self-doubt.
Oh, that's a good analogy.
But if you speak to yourself with kindness and encouragement,
Yeah.
you nurture a more positive and resilient self-image.
It's like choosing to cultivate, a garden of beauty
Yeah, exactly.
instead of letting weeds take over.
Right. And Ruiz, he uses a powerful example in the book.
Oh, tell me about it.
He talks about a mother who, without realizing it, casts this kind of spell on her daughter by saying she has an ugly voice.
Oh, no, that's sad.
And the daughter, she internalizes this, believes it to be true, and she stops singing altogether. What was once a source of joy becomes a source of shame.
That's heartbreaking.
It is, and it makes you realize how often we engage in this kind of, black magic with our words.
Black magic.
Without even realizing it.
Yeah.
Not just with others,
But with ourselves.
but with ourselves.
Right.
Yeah. So what would it look like to truly embrace this agreement,
To really live by it.
Imagine if instead of tearing ourselves down with negative self-talk,
Yeah.
we consciously chose words that uplift and empower.
Oh, I like that.
What if we spoke to ourselves with the
Mm.
same kindness and
Yeah.
compassion
Yeah.
we offer to those we love most?
That's powerful. That's the essence of impeccability, isn't it?
It is.
It's about recognizing the power of our words and choosing to use them responsibly. starting with our own thoughts and beliefs.
And it's like building an immunity to emotional poison.
Wow. Yeah.
When your word is impeccable, you become less susceptible to the negativity of others, you know?
Because you're no longer feeding the negativity within yourself.
Exactly, yeah.
It's a beautiful concept.
It is, and it leads beautifully into the second agreement.
Okay, what's that?
Which builds on this idea of self-protection.
Self-protection.
Okay. Don't take anything personally.
Don't take anything personally. I like that one.
And this agreement is all about understanding that, other people's words and actions, they're ultimately a reflection of their own internal state.
That's a tough one.
It is. It is.
Especially when someone's, directing negativity at you.
Yeah.
It's hard not to take it personally.
But it's not a judgment on your worth.
Okay.
It's about them, their own, beliefs, their experiences, their wounds.
Right, their baggage.
Right. Now, this doesn't mean accepting abuse or letting people, walk all over you.
No, of course not.
It's more about recognizing that even when someone acts out, it's usually not about you.
About them.
Yeah, Ruiz uses a rather extreme example to illustrate this point.
Oh, what's that?
He says, even if someone shy you.
Whoa.
Okay.
It wouldn't be personal.
Hard to imagine.
Right. Their action would be driven by their own internal turmoil.
Yeah, not by something inherently wrong with you.
Exactly.
It's a radical perspective.
It is. It is. Of course, it's natural to feel hurt or angry.
Yeah, when someone lashes out.
When someone lashes out, yeah.
Yeah.
But this agreement offers a way to detach from those emotions.
Detach. Okay.
It allows you to see the situation from a wider perspective.
To see the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Recognizing that their behavior is more about them than it is about you.
That's a powerful reframe.
It is.
It really helps you to see the person behind the behavior.
Exactly.
And to recognize that, everyone's fighting their own battles.
Everyone's fighting their own battles, yeah.
And it invites you to respond with compassion.
With a compassion, yeah.
Rather than reactivity.
And when you stop taking things personally,
yeah,
you reclaim your power.
Reclaim your power. You no longer allow other people's actions or words to dictate your emotional state.
Wow, that's truly liberating.
It is. It is.
It's a powerful practice.
Okay, so we've explored the importance of, being impeccable with our words.
Yeah.
And not taking things personally.
Right.
Now let's dive into the third agreement.
All right, let's do it.
Don't make assumptions.
Don't make assumptions. Okay.
And this one feels especially relevant in today's world. Where it's so easy to jump to conclusions based on, limited information.
Oh, absolutely. It's like everyone's an expert at filling in the blanks these days.
They are.
Without even bothering to, check if they have all the facts.
Right, and that's where things can go wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
And Ruiz, he provides this really insightful example in the book.
Oh, tell me about it.
He talks about someone falling head over heels in love based entirely on, an imagined scenario.
Imagined scenario.
Not on reality.
Ouch, right. That's gotta hurt.
And it makes you think about a recent conflict you've had. Was it fueled by assumptions?
Assumptions, yeah.
And how could open and honest communication have changed the outcome?
It's a good question to ask ourselves, isn't it?
It is.
At the heart of this agreement is personal responsibility.
Okay.
It's about taking ownership of our own understanding. Having the courage to ask questions,
To seek clarification.
Yeah, and to communicate clearly.
Instead of relying on guesswork.
Right. It's much easier to just assume we know what the other person is thinking.
It is. It is.
But that often leads to misunderstandings and conflict.
It does.
So this agreement is about, choosing to communicate consciously.
Yeah.
And respectfully.
And finally, we arrive at the fourth agreement.
Oh, the fourth one. What is it?
Always do your best.
Always do your best.
Now, at first glance, this one might seem pretty straightforward.
Right, like common sense almost.
Yeah.
But there's more to it than that, isn't there?
There's a lot more to it than that.
Yeah.
You see, this agreement, it isn't about pushing yourself to exhaustion or striving for some, unattainable ideal.
Yeah, it's not about being perfect.
No.
All the time.
It's about recognizing that your best will fluctuate from day to day.
Yeah, some days you're firing on all cylinders.
Right.
Other days, you're just trying to survive.
Exactly. That's just life.
It is. And I love the story that Ruiz tells about this man who wants to meditate for 8 hours a day.
8 hours. Wow.
To achieve enlightenment faster.
Okay.
And his master, he warns him against this kind of, self-punishment.
Oh, interesting.
And he says, you are not here to sacrifice your joy or your life. You are here to live, to be happy, and to love. Do your best, and perhaps you will learn that no matter how long you meditate, you can live, love, and be happy.
That's beautiful.
It really is.
It's a reminder that we don't need to punish ourselves to be worthy of love and happiness. We don't, and that story, I think it really encapsulates the essence of this agreement.
Yeah, it's about self-compassion.
Yeah.
And recognizing that our best is good enough.
It is. It is.
Even if it looks different from day to day.
And it makes you question, where you might be pushing yourself too hard in life.
Yeah.
And encourage you to consider what would it look like to honor, your own unique rhythm,
And pace.
your own definition of success.
Yeah, instead of comparing ourselves to others constantly trying to meet some external standard.
Exactly.
This agreement, it shifts our whole perspective on effort and success.
It does.
It's about sustainability.
Sustainability. Yeah.
Not burning ourselves out in pursuit of some ideal.
And it's interesting, what's really fascinating is that Ruiz frames these 4 agreements as a path to freedom.
Freedom.
Freedom from that, domestication.
Right. Back to the domestication.
The domestication we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
He even uses the metaphor of a parasite.
A parasite.
Yeah.
Inside our mind.
Living inside our minds.
Wow.
To represent, that inner critic,
Okay.
the victim mentality and all those limiting beliefs that hold us back.
That's a powerful image.
It is. It is.
So we have this parasite feeding on our negativity.
Yeah. And he suggests that true freedom, it comes from starving that parasite of the negative emotions.
Starving the parasite.
It thrives on.
Wow.
It's about reclaiming your power and choosing to nourish the parts of yourself that are aligned with love, with joy, with authenticity.
So we have a choice.
We do.
We can feed the parasite.
Yeah.
Or we can nourish our true selves.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's a powerful message.
And he introduces this concept of a warrior.
A warrior?
But not in the traditional sense.
Not like a soldier going into battle.
Right. He's talking about the inner strength and courage it takes to fight for your own mental and emotional independence.
So it's an internal battle.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Against our own limiting beliefs.
It's about standing up to those beliefs and choosing to create a new reality for yourself.
I like that. Creating a new reality.
And that brings us to one of the most intriguing concepts in the book.
Oh, what's that?
The initiation of the dead.
The initiation of the dead. That sounds a little intense.
It does. It does sound a bit intense, but it's actually a very powerful metaphor.
Okay, tell me more.
So the initiation of the dead is a symbolic death of the ego.
A symbolic death.
Yeah, a shedding of those old limiting beliefs that no longer serve you.
So it's about letting go.
Letting go, yeah.
Of the old self.
To make space for a more authentic, liberated self.
To emerge.
To emerge, yeah. So it's not about physically dying.
Yeah.
It's about consciously choosing to let go of the parts of ourselves that are holding us back.
It's like a transformation.
It is a transformation.
A rebirth.
Yeah, a rebirth into a more aligned way of being.
I like that. So we've covered these first 4 agreements as tools for personal transformation.
Yeah.
Breaking free from the limitations we often, inherit or unconsciously create.
Yeah, yeah.
But how do we actually start putting these agreements into practice in our daily lives? Where do we even begin?
That's a great question, and it's one we'll explore further in the next part of our deep dive.
All right, I'm looking forward to it.
We'll delve into the practical steps we can take to integrate these agreements into our lives and create a more joyful and fulfilling reality. So stay tuned, listeners, because we're just getting started.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the 4 agreements. You asked a great question at the end of the last segment.
Oh, which one?
How do we actually start living by these agreements?
Right.
One thing to understand them,
Yeah.
but putting them into practice, that can feel a bit daunting.
It can. It's like having a map but not knowing which path to take.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
So where do we begin? Does he offer any guidance on this?
He does. He compares the process to confronting a monster, like this fearsome monster with 1,000 heads.
1,000 heads.
Yeah.
Okay, that's terrifying.
It is, and each head represents a different fear.
Oh.
To hold on to. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of the unknown.
So many fears.
And he presents 3 approaches to tackling this beast.
Okay, a monster with 1,000 heads and 3 approaches to take it down.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, I'm all ears. Tell me about these approaches.
Okay, so the first approach is about courage.
Courage.
It's about facing those fears head on,
Okay.
one by one.
One by one, all right.
It's a slow and steady method,
Hmm.
but it's effective. Each time you confront a fear
Yeah.
and move through it, you chip away at the monster's power.
So it's about recognizing those fears.
Yeah.
Not trying to, like, suppress them or ignore them.
No, you have to acknowledge them,
Yeah.
to overcome them.
And then take small, consistent steps
Yeah, little by little.
towards overcoming them. Okay, I like that. What about the second approach?
So the second approach is about discipline.
Discipline.
It's about starving the monster by controlling our emotions.
Starving the monster.
Yeah, so the idea is
Yeah.
we stop feeding those fears
With our attention.
with our attention, our energy.
That sounds incredibly challenging.
It is.
Our emotions can feel so overwhelming sometimes.
Absolutely. Which brings us to the third approach,
Okay.
the one that Ruiz emphasizes as the most powerful.
Okay, the most powerful.
It's what he calls the initiation of the dead.
The initiation of the dead. Okay, we touched on this earlier.
Yeah.
But I'm still a little, I don't know, I'm still a bit fuzzy on what this actually entails.
Yeah, it's a big concept.
It's about a symbolic death, right?
Yeah.
But what does that actually mean in a practical sense?
Okay, imagine this.
Right.
All the things you identify with,
Okay.
your possessions,
Yeah.
your relationships, even your physical body.
Yeah.
They're all temporary. They're part of the dream of the planet.
Okay.
The initiation of the dead
Yeah.
is about recognizing this impermanence
Okay.
and consciously letting go of your attachment to those things.
So it's a mental shift.
Yeah,
A way of detaching from the illusion of permanence.
exactly.
Okay, I think I'm starting to get it.
And when you do that,
Yeah.
something amazing happens.
What happens?
You realize that who you truly are, your essence, transcends all of that.
Okay.
So this death, it's not about physical death.
Okay.
It's about the death of the ego, of the small, limited self
A small self.
that clings
Yeah.
to this illusion of control.
Oh, I see. Letting go of that need to control everything.
Exactly.
Wow. That's deep.
It is.
It almost sounds like a spiritual awakening.
In a way, it is.
It's about waking up to the truth of who you are,
Yeah.
beyond the limitations of your current beliefs and perceptions.
And Ruiz suggests that this initiation of the dead,
Yeah.
it's actually a doorway
A doorway to
to a new dream,
a new
a
dream.
more beautiful and expansive way of experiencing life.
So we're talking about a shift from the dream of the planet
Yeah.
to a new dream.
To a new dream.
Okay. Tell me more about this new dream.
All right.
What does it look like?
Well, imagine a life free from the tyranny of the judge,
The judge.
that inner critic
Yeah.
that's always judging us,
Yeah, I know that voice.
So imagine a life free from that,
Yeah.
free from the endless loop of self-criticism and doubt.
A life without that constant inner critic.
Exactly.
I like that.
And imagine a life where you no longer feel like a victim,
Okay.
where you reclaim your power and create your own reality.
That's the essence of the new dream.
That's it.
It's a life lived from a place of authenticity,
Yeah.
love, and freedom.
It sounds pretty good, doesn't it?
It does.
But,
It
yeah.
sounds incredibly liberating, almost too good to be true.
It might sound that way.
Yeah.
But Ruiz assures us that it's within our reach. He emphasizes that we have the power to choose
Choose.
how we perceive the world,
Okay.
how we react to situations,
Uh-huh.
and ultimately how we experience life.
So even though we might have been domesticated
Right.
into a certain way of thinking,
Yeah.
we're not tracked by it.
No, not at all.
We have the power to break free
We do.
and create something new.
We have the power to choose freedom over suffering,
Wow.
love over fear, and joy over resentment.
And that choice, it starts within each of us.
That's where it all begins.
That's incredibly empowering.
It is.
It reminds me of a line from the book.
Oh, which one?
Every human is an artist. The dream of your life is to make beautiful art.
Beautiful.
It suggests that we all have this, this innate creative potential.
That we're all artists in a way.
Yeah, this ability to shape our reality into
Yeah.
something beautiful.
Meaningful.
And meaningful, yeah.
I love that.
But what about those times when life throws us, curveballs?
Yeah, when things get tough.
When things feel chaotic and out of control.
That's part of life too.
It is. It is. How do these agreements, how do they hold up in the face of real world challenges?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And it brings us to another important concept that Ruiz explores.
Okay.
the idea of the Toltec warrior.
Okay, so now we're talking about warriors.
Warriors!
I thought this was a book about peace and love.
It is.
Okay.
But Ruiz's concept of a warrior
Uh-huh.
is not about aggression
Okay.
or fighting battles in the traditional sense.
Right, so not like a, soldier going into battle
No.
with weapons and armor.
He's talking about an inner strength,
An inner strength.
a resilience
Okay.
that allows us to face life's challenges with courage and grace.
So it's about facing our own inner demons.
Yeah, our own fears, our doubts,
The things that hold us back
of
from.
living authentically
Yeah.
and joyfully.
And the Toltec warrior, they don't waste energy on blaming others
Right.
or dwelling in self-pity.
It's about taking responsibility
Okay.
for our own experience.
And they choose to focus their energy on what they can control,
Exactly.
which is their own thoughts,
Yeah.
words, and actions.
That's where our true power lies.
And that's where the four agreements come in.
They do.
They're the tools that the warrior uses to navigate life's challenges.
Precisely.
Okay, so the warrior uses impeccability of word
Yes.
to speak their truth
Uh-huh.
and create a more positive internal dialogue.
And they use the principle of not taking things personally
Right.
to detach from the negativity of others
Yeah.
and to maintain their own inner peace.
Their inner peace.
Yeah.
And they use the practice of not making assumptions.
Yeah, to avoid unnecessary conflict.
To foster clear and open communication.
And finally, they use the principle of always doing their best
Uh,
to cultivate a sense of self-compassion
uh.
and to approach each challenge with integrity and effort.
So it sounds like a powerful way to approach life.
It is.
It's not about avoiding challenges.
Right.
Or pretending everything is perfect.
It's about embracing life's ups and downs
Yeah.
and showing up with courage,
Courage.
integrity, and a commitment to living in alignment with those four agreements.
When I think about all of this, the
Yeah.
four agreements, the initiation of the dead,
Mm-hmm.
the Toltec warrior, I can't help but wonder
What do you wonder?
what the world would look like if everyone embraced these principles.
It's a beautiful vision, isn't it?
It is.
Imagine a world where people communicated with integrity,
Yeah.
where they
Right.
treated each other with kindness and respect
Where they took responsibility for
Yeah.
their own happiness.
and well-being.
It's a world where conflict would be minimized,
Absolutely.
understanding would be amplified,
Yeah.
and love would truly be the guiding force.
It's a world worth striving for.
It
A
is.
world worth creating.
And that brings us to the heart of what Ruiz calls the new dream,
New dream.
a world transformed by love.
Tell me more about this.
What does this world look like?
Well, Ruiz paints this beautiful picture
Okay.
of a world where love emanates from everything around us,
Love emanating from everything.
where we see the interconnectedness of all beings.
Yeah.
It's a world where we no longer need to justify our existence.
We don't have to justify our existence.
No, where we're free to simply be who we are
Simply be.
without fear of judgment.
A rejection.
It sounds like a world where our hearts are open,
Yeah.
our minds are clear,
Yeah.
and our spirits are free to soar.
Free to soar.
A world free from the weight of fear, judgment, and negativity.
It's a powerful vision.
It is.
It makes you wonder if it's actually achievable.
Yeah.
Is this just a utopian fantasy?
But fantasy?
Or is it a reality we can create?
That's the question Ruiz leaves us with. And it's one we'll explore further in the final part of our deep dive.
Okay.
We'll delve into the practical steps we can take to create this new dream, both within ourselves and in the world around us.
So stay tuned, listeners, because we're about to embark on the most exciting part of our journey.
The journey from understanding to action. Welcome back to our deep dive into the four agreements. We've explored, the power of these agreements as tools for personal transformation.
Right. And how they can impact our lives.
Yeah. And we've even glimpsed the possibility of a world transformed by love,
What Ruiz calls the new dream.
Exactly, the new dream. But now comes the big question.
The big question, yeah.
How do we actually create this new dream?
Yeah, it's a beautiful vision.
It is.
But it can feel kind of overwhelming to think about, putting it into action.
It can. It's like, okay, that sounds great, but how?
Where do we even start?
Where do we even start exactly?
Well, Ruiz reminds us that it all starts with ourselves.
Okay, with ourselves.
He says, the world is nothing more than a reflection of your own mind.
So the journey begins with our own individual transformation.
That's right.
So we're talking about creating a ripple effect.
Yeah, like a stone thrown into a pond. We start by transforming our own inner world. And that creates these ripples
That extend outward.
influencing the world around us.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that analogy.
And the 4 agreements, they offer a practical framework for creating those ripples.
They do, they do.
Remember, these agreements, they're not just philosophical concepts.
Right, they're not just nice ideas.
They're tools
Tools we can use.
to shift our thoughts, our words, our actions.
Well, in a way that aligns with,
Love,
love, integrity,
personal freedom.
personal freedom. Okay, so let's break it down.
Let's do it.
How can we practically apply these agreements
Yeah.
to create that ripple effect and contribute to this new dream?
Okay, so let's start with the first agreement. Be impeccable with your word.
Okay, be impeccable with your word.
Imagine a world where everyone spoke with honesty,
Mm-hmm.
kindness, and intention.
What would that look like?
This is an interesting thought experiment, isn't it?
It is. I imagine it would be a world with less conflict,
Less conflict, yeah.
less misunderstanding,
Definitely.
and a lot more compassion.
More compassion, yeah.
Yeah.
People would feel safer.
Safer knowing that their words are being heard.
And respected.
Respected, yeah. So how do we bring that vision into reality?
Well, it starts with becoming mindful of our own speech.
Okay, our own speech.
Are we using our words to uplift and empower others?
Good question.
Are we speaking our truth with love and respect?
And are we avoiding, gossip, judgment, negativity?
It's about recognizing that our words have power.
They really do.
They can create harmony,
Or discord,
connection,
or division.
and it all starts with our own internal dialogue.
Our internal dialogue. So if we're constantly criticizing ourselves,
Yeah, if we're not kind to ourselves.
it's likely that
Yeah.
negativity
I just spill over.
will spill over into our interactions with others.
It's like, if you're carrying around a bucket of poison,
Yeah,
you're bound to spill some of it on the people around you.
that's a great analogy. So cultivating a practice of self-love.
Yeah, self-compassion.
It's crucial.
Absolutely.
It's like planting seeds of kindness
And positivity.
within ourselves, which then,
Have the potential to blossom outward.
influencing our relationships, our communities,
And ultimately, the world.
the world as a whole. Now let's move on to the second agreement.
Right.
Don't take anything personally.
Don't take anything personally. Another big one.
Imagine a world where people understood this principle.
What would that look like?
I think it would create a world with more resilience,
Resilience.
more understanding,
Understanding
Yeah.
people would be less reactive
less reactive, okay?
and more likely to approach conflict with a sense of
Empathy
empathy. And
curiosity.
instead of taking every, slight or criticism as a personal attack,
Yeah.
would be able to see the situation from a wider perspective.
Step back a bit
Exactly.
and recognize that other people's actions and words, they're often driven by their own
Fears.
fears,
Past experience.
with their own baggage, basically.
So instead of getting caught up in this, cycle of blame,
Yeah, defensiveness.
defensiveness,
It can be so easy to get stuck in that cycle.
it can.
But this agreement helps us to break free.
We'd be more likely to respond with
Compassion,
compassion.
understanding,
And it would just create a more forgiving,
a more harmonious environment.
harmonious environment. Okay. And that brings us to the third agreement.
A third agreement, all
Let's
right?
make assumptions.
Don't make assumptions. That's a tough one,
It is. It is.
especially in today's world,
Where everyone's, quick to judge and form opinions.
based on incomplete information.
Yeah, exactly. But imagine a world
Yeah.
where people really embraced this principle.
A world without assumptions.
How do you think it would impact, communication and relationships?
I think it would create a world with more
Clarity,
clarity, yeah.
honesty,
Honesty, definitely. And trust.
trust. That's key.
People would be less likely to jump to conclusions.
Yeah, or create stories in their heads.
They'd be more willing to
To ask questions.
seek clarification
Communicate openly.
and direct
Instead of
evidence.
just assuming they know what the other person is thinking.
And it would just eliminate so much unnecessary
Drama.
drama and conflict.
Yeah, think about it.
I know, it's amazing how many arguments
Misunderstanding.
stem from assumptions.
Just assuming we know what the other person is thinking or feeling
Right.
without actually checking in with them.
It's about recognizing that we're not mind readers.
We're not.
We need to communicate
So dangerous.
respectfully with
Yeah.
an open mind and heart.
That's the key to healthy communication.
And finally, let's consider the fourth agreement.
The fourth agreement.
Hey,
Always,
do your best.
always do your best. That one seems pretty simple.
It does. But Imagine a world
Okay, I'm
where
imagining.
everyone lived by this principle.
Everyone doing their best.
What do you think that world would look like?
I think it would be a world with more self-compassion,
Self-compassion, yeah.
more authenticity,
Uh-huh.
and a lot less judgment.
Less judgment. People would focus on doing what felt aligned.
Yeah, what felt
Meaningful
meaningful
to them, yeah.
without comparing themselves to others
Yeah.
or striving for some unattainable standard of perfection
It's about recognizing that our best will fluctuate.
from day to day.
And that's okay.
Absolutely. Some days our best might be, climbing a mountain.
Right.
Other days it might be just getting out of bed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's perfectly fine.
And it's about, releasing that need
To
to
prove ourselves
improve ourselves, yeah.
or to meet external expectations.
And just honoring our own unique journey.
Yeah, and striving to live in a way that feels
Authentic.
that are fulfilling.
So we're talking about a world where people are encouraged to embrace,
Their own unique talent.
their own unique talents, passions. Yeah, a world where diversity and individuality are celebrated,
Right, yeah.
not suppressed.
And when we create that kind of environment within ourselves,
Yeah, when we cultivate self-love,
self-acceptance,
a commitment to doing our best,
it naturally ripples outward.
It does.
It influences the people around us.
and ultimately the world.
So we're not talking about some, grand utopian vision that's impossible to achieve.
No, not at all.
We're talking about starting with ourselves,
Starting with the small things.
with our own thoughts, words, and actions.
Our own little corner of the world.
Making small, conscious choices every day
Little by little.
that align with these agreements.
It's about those small, consistent actions
Yeah, exactly.
that create lasting change.
It's about recognizing that we have the power
It's the power
to create the kind of world,
we want to live in.
starting with our own inner world.
That's where it all begins.
It's about understanding that true transformation begins within.
It does.
We've talked a lot about, the individual's role in creating this new dream.
Yeah, the individual's responsibility.
What about the collective?
The collective. Oh.
How do we create a world where these agreements are not just, individual practices,
Right.
but societal norms?
That's a great question. I think it starts with education,
Education.
awareness.
Awareness.
We need to share these principles with others.
Share them, yeah.
Teach them to our children.
To our children,
Incorporate them into our schools.
our workplace.
our communities.
So we're talking about a cultural shift,
Yeah, a movement.
a movement towards a more conscious and compassionate way of being.
Exactly.
And I believe that shift, I think it's already happening.
I think so too.
More and more people are waking up
Waking up to the fact
to the realization that our old ways of thinking and behaving,
they're not working anymore.
they're not serving us.
People are looking for new ways to connect,
To communicate.
to create a more peaceful and harmonious world.
And the 4 agreements, it offers a powerful roadmap
It does.
for that journey. It provides a set of principles
That can guide us
towards a more fulfilling,
and meaningful way of life.
both individually and collectively.
Absolutely.
And it all starts with that first step,
That first step, yeah.
becoming aware of the agreements we've been living by
The agreements we've inherited
and choosing to replace them,
with agreements that empower us,
that connect us.
that align with our deepest values.
So as we wrap up our deep dive,
Yeah, it's been a fascinating journey.
it has. I'm left with this question for our listeners.
Right. What's the question?
What agreement are you ready to make with yourself today?
That's a good one.
What small step can you take to create, a ripple of love
Of positivity.
and positivity
In your own life,
and in the world around you?
it's a question worth pondering,
It is.
a journey worth embarking on,
Yeah.
and a dream worth fighting for.
A dream worth fighting for.
And remember, the power to create change, it lies within each of us.
It does. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the 4 agreements. We hope you found it insightful, inspiring,
And empowering.
and we encourage you to continue exploring these agreements
In your own life.
and to see how they can help you to create a more joyful
And fulfilling reality.
for yourself and for the world around you. Until next time, keep exploring, keep growing, and keep dreaming.